What's up, everybody? My name is Drewbie Wilson. For those of you who don't know me, I am officially the meme lord. If you haven't seen it, it's across my knuckles. I am here because Karen and I connected many, many moons ago on a podcast, and she said, "Listen, I think your message needs to be in front of all of these amazing people that I'm surrounded by over at the Icons of Real Estate." And said, "Will you come in and talk to them about calling the damn leads?" Which is what I'm here to do. Let's be honest, it's the answer to all your money problems. If you're not making enough money, you're not getting to enjoy the life that you want to live, then I'm sorry to say you're probably not calling the damn leads enough, which is what I'm here to help you understand and do some more of. So who the F am I and why am I here? I'm a husband, father, business owner. I am a best-selling author of several titles. As you saw there, I have a podcast with more than 1,000 episodes. I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of entrepreneurs and sales professionals over the years. And I like to do hard stuff because, as you can see, at one point in my life, I was very overweight, very unhappy, very unsatisfied. And the biggest roadblock in the whole picture was me. And as soon as I started doing the hard work and getting out there and doing the things that I knew would get me the result that I wanted, it allowed me to become the individual that you see here before you, hanging out, living the dream, doing all kinds of cool stuff. But what do I know about sales? Well, let's be honest. I grew up in the streets selling anything and everything I could get my hands on. My mom and I always joked that I was a commodities relocation specialist. Much like all of you, you have products, you have services, you have things that you move and groove and help people get their hands on at the right price at the right time. And for me, I grew up playing video games. I was one of the first people in my neighborhood to have cable internet. So we used to have AI robots play the game for us while we were at school, take those in-game items and sell them on PayPal and eBay. So I was like in the crypto and NFT business before it was cool. I sold cigars and tobacco. I sold furniture. I spent 5 years as a PNC insurance producer, which meant that I really learned how to cut my teeth on cold calls. 200, 300 cold calls a day, sending 50, 60 letters, signing and licking those envelopes myself. So I've been in the game a long time. But what I learned as a sales guy, doesn't matter how great you are at sales, what you truly need is leads so that you can sell more of your product and services. Because if you can get your own leads, you can write your own paycheck. Anybody agree with that standpoint? I appreciate those head nods. Thank you. That means you're paying attention. When I realized this and I learned marketing, I went online. I found a bunch of Facebook communities that basically were teaching people how to get their own leads. And I was like, this is great. I'm going to learn marketing. I'm going to get my own leads. I'm going to start making all this money. Well, it was awesome because as soon as I started making more money, I got a bunch of calls from people who said, "Hey, man, you just doubled your production. What are you doing and is it legal?" Because isn't it funny how as soon as you start having some level of success, people want to question the validity of it? I said, "Well, listen, I learned this marketing stuff. Let me, show you how it works." And they're like, "No, no, no, no. How about I pay you to set it up for me?" And wouldn't you know it, I started a marketing business on the weekend, making way more on the weekend than I was working full time during the week, which led me to a consulting operation. And I say all that to say that I've sold a lot of shit over the years, you guys. So I understand what you're going through and what it means to be in sales. Now, here's one of my big secrets, though. You have to have the right tools. And this is for the majority of new business owners and entrepreneurs. But let me be honest, the basics wins wars. I trained with some special forces guys, and they told me we don't train on all the fancy stuff. We take our gun out of the holster and point it in the right direction. That is the foundation of success. Sales works the same way. You have to have data and information. You have to have leads, whether that's your sphere of influence, whether that's your social media networks, whether that's a BNI group, the database that your broker gives you, doesn't matter. You have to have this information because information is the new oil. And you have to take that information and plug it in to company branded communication, because if you want to be someone that they can know, like, and trust, trust is the key factor to that part of the conversation there, because I have met far too many, and I'm going to air quote right now, you guys, professionals who are still using at Gmail, at Yahoo, at AOL, and they're technically a fiduciary person because they went and got licensed for real estate and promised to take care of people's money, and yet they can't spring for the $5 a year domain. Don't be one of those people. And don't be one of those leaders who lets their people walk around without actual branded communication, because that typically means that you don't care how they represent you. And I know there isn't a single person on this call right now who is okay without being represented in the right fashion. So company branded communication, and then the CRM. Is anybody on here not using a CRM right now? There's a lot of hidden faces, Karen, so I can't really tell for sure, but I'm just going to be everybody here is using a CRM, right?
Or put in the chat if you are or if you're not.
Mm-hmm. Don't, if you're not, here's the thing. You should be, because you're not smart enough to manage all the information. You're certainly not bright enough to manage every single reminder and appointment. And I say that out of love because no one on the planet is. You're not going to remember everything. You're not going to remember every detail, every call, every reminder. It's just not going to happen. So make sure you're utilizing your CRM. It's very, very important. Now, when it comes time to actually picking up the phone and calling the damn leads, I think the biggest hangup for most people and why they don't do it is because they're not confident in the process that they're about to go through. Because when you're 100% confident in what you're about to do, there's no hesitation, there's no question about it. But when people aren't sure what they're going to say when they pick up the phone to call the damn lead, that's why they hesitate. That's why there's this like procrastination, if you will. So I use the calls framework. It's very cliche, but here's the deal. When you keep it simple, it sells. So calls. C, confirm the reason you're having a conversation. Whether it's an inbound or an outbound conversation, I think it's very, very important to be very clear about why you're there. Let's not waste any time. If a lead comes in, hey, this is Drewbie over at Call the Damn Leads. I saw you purchase my product. I say see you were requesting information on XYZ. What made you decide to check us out? Very simple. To the point. I don't want to waste any time. Because if I'm not the right person, I don't want to try to make an air about it. I'm just going to be very clear. Now, if I'm doing an outbound call, cold calling, whatever that might be, again, hey, this is Drewbie over at Call the Damn Leads. I'm reaching out because I help real estate agents close more deals without being spammy or obnoxious using better follow-up. Is that something you're interested in? Just again, boom, to the point because I don't want to waste time. And if they are ready to take that next step, then I'm going to have a series of what I call pre-qualifying questions already lined up. Anyone on this call who's ever done a deal knows that there is about 5 to 10 different pieces of information they need to know whether or not they can help the other individual with this process. What made you decide to move? When are you looking? Do you have a budget? Do you have a down payment? Are you pre-qualified? There's all these pieces of data that you need to know in order to know whether or not it's a good fit for you to help them. What are those questions? Are you asking them every time? If you're not, stands to reason why you're running into more objections when you get to the end of the conversation because you haven't armed yourself with everything you need to know to be successful. So what I mean by that is if you're asking these questions, you can move into the first L, which is listening to what people have to say. Listening is the most powerful part of sales. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Most people forget this. And I'm kind of steamrolling through this because I know I want to leave some time for Q&A, y'all, but here's the deal. We have to listen to what people are saying, and if they tell us everything we need to know, we can move into the next step, which is laying out a very clear plan for success. Awesome, Miss Johnson. Sounds like you're looking for a home in the 200,000 to 300,000 range in these couple of zip codes because you want your kids to be in this school district. What I'm going to do is line up 4 or 5 different properties for us to go look at on Saturday that are available and in your budget. What I'd like to know from you is, would you prefer to start at 9 a.m. or 1 p.m.? Because I have a morning slot or an afternoon slot for my buyers, and I just want to make sure that I fit you into the one that works best for you. Awesome. What we're going to do is we're going to go look at these homes. We're going to find the top 2 or 3 that you like the most. Any of the ones you don't like, we're going to immediately scratch them off the list. Once we have 3, we're going to sit down. We're going to come up with a very serious offer for the one you really like. And then we're going to have a backup plan for the second property just in case the first one falls through. So are you ready to go? Boom, 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 boom. And then the most important part of all of this, you guys, is securing the bag. All of you have met a professional along the way who's great at building rapport, great at asking questions, but never seems to be able to get a contract anything under contract. They have a hard time asking for the sale. If you're not going to ask for the sale, someone else is, and you're going to lose it. Can we all agree to that? Awesome. FU money comes from follow-up. Does anyone here close 100% of the deals that they come in? No, me neither. I wish I could say that, but I don't. And honestly, I don't even wish it because not every client with a credit card and a pulse is a good client. I'm totally okay firing clients or telling them no because I don't want to burn out my time, which is my most valuable asset. That said, I know that follow up takes time. And if you're going to implement something like this, it's a lot better to have a strategy that you can leverage and utilize. To me, I live by the 110-2 rule. Every day that I'm working, which is between 20 and 22 days a month, because I take weekends and, I'm not as crazy on the weekends as I am during the week. And I know most of you have different schedules according to what your life is. But the goal is 100 outbound attempts every day, whether that's phone calls, text messages, emails, DMs on social media, knocking on a door. I'm trying to make 100 unique outreaches every day with the goal of having 10 good conversations from those outreaches. That's a 10% conversion rate, you guys. So it's up there, but it's not astronomical. And all I need to do during those conversations is pre-qualify the business by asking those questions and knowing whether or not we're a good fit to move forward. Out of those 10 conversations, if I can either close 2 deals or set 2 appointments for the day or a mixture, that's a pretty solid day in my opinion. Because if you're having a lot of conversations, maybe you set a couple of appointments, but you don't close any deals that day, especially in real estate, because it's not an overnight thing. A lot of times there's a process, 30, 45, 90 days, sometimes even 6 months, right? So building that rapport and setting the timeline. But if you plant enough seeds and you have enough conversations consistently, my theory is that you're making somewhere around 2,000 to 2,500 outreaches a month, having about 150 to 200 conversations, and ideally, if you're doing it right, probably closing 20 to 30 deals a month. Is anyone in here closing 20 to 30 deals a month yet? Would you like to close 20 to 30 deals a month? All right, cool. And that number is a perspective, right? Everyone has their own version of success, but the math is the math. Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. If you want to get to those numbers, you have to make the calls, you have to have the conversations. Now, there are different stages through which each lead goes, and that's where the lead stages you see in front of you comes into play. New leads are anyone who's come in the door that you haven't had a conversation with, so you're trying to build rapport, ask your questions, and pre-qualify the business. That 30 days is important. So I really heavy push on that first 30 days of follow-up. As you can see here, take a screenshot. Karen, I'll send you these slides so that you can share them with everybody because I want to go through them quickly. But I mix it up, call, text, email. I'm trying to figure out what's their preferred communication style because everyone's busy and I don't really care so long as you're going to communicate with me. I just want to have a conversation. So call, text, email, get comfortable in all of them. That is my, encouragement to all of you. Get comfortable with the written word, get comfortable on FaceTime, Zoom, whatever it takes. We have to adapt to what the client is looking for. After you've had a conversation, you've made the offer, you have to put them in the hot leads category because, like, how many people have made someone an offer to work together and then 2 or 3 weeks later saw on Facebook that they just closed their house with some other real estate agent? And you're like, what in the what? And they're like, well, yeah, you never called me back. And you're going, but you said you were going to call me. And it's like, well, yeah, I got busy. And then they called me and I needed to get this done. It happens a lot more than we care to admit. And so it's important that anyone you're in that hot lead category, you have a process for following up with them for that first 30 to 45 days. Because that's decision making time. And there's always 3 main objections. The price is too high, the time isn't right, or I have to speak to a spouse or a decision maker. Those are the only 3 objections that exist in the world. Everything else is a smokescreen, and they're all related to one of those, in my opinion. We could nitpick and argue that all day long, but those are the top 3 to me. If someone doesn't do business with you, it doesn't mean that they're not a good prospect. It just means they're not a good prospect for you. And also, they could be a great referral source. So cold leads, dead leads, people that said that they didn't want to do business with you, don't get upset, don't get offended. Simply give them an opportunity to come back and permission to follow up. And also remind them that you have awesome referral fees if that's legal in your area. Again, I know everything, don't break any laws, but if you can offer someone a kickback or do something nice for a referral or a finder's fee, why would you not offer that up even if you don't do regular business together? I can say from the bottom of my heart, one of my greatest referral sources over the years was someone that we never did any business together personally because it just never fit logistically. But he loved the way I did business so much, he sent me thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of sales. So don't discredit someone that doesn't want to work together or that it's not the right time. Build a system and a process for permission to follow up later. You guys tracking with me on that so far? Okay, thank you. Here's the ultimate question though. What is your time worth? And this is something that we're going to go through a process here. But the scariest thing right now, median household in the US is about $70,000 a year. Could anyone in here live on $70,000 a year? I sure as heck can't. I know for sure I can't. And so that's the scariest thing. And if you're here with us right now, you're obviously not average. You're trying to grow. You want to do more. Like you're trying to expand on yourself. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go and look at last year's numbers. And this is kind of a perfect time because it's right around tax season and here in the States. And I don't know, like for all of y'all, what you have going on, but all the money you made last year and divide it by the number 2,000. Your main job, your side hustle, like maybe you're selling pictures of your piggies on the internet. I'm not judging. I'm just saying if you're putting time, energy, and effort into making money with it, add that number up. 2,000 comes from the fact that if you were an average person, you'd work 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, you'd take a 2-week vacation. That's just what average people do. You're not though. And if you made 100 grand last year and you worked an average person's hours, 100,000 divided by 2,000 is $50 an hour. For me growing up, $10 an hour was grunt labor, 25 bucks an hour was a factory, and 50 bucks an hour was like lawyers and doctors. So that objectively sounded good when I was a kid. But could anyone look back in, 20 years and say that money is the same as it was then? No, absolutely not. As time goes on, money becomes less and less valuable, which is this weird thing to really iterate the fact that time is your most valuable asset. Because if I put on a hood and I knocked on your door and said, hey, here's a check for X dollar amount that you just calculated in your head, you have 24 hours left to live, I need you to come with me, would you still trade 1 hour for that same dollar amount? Probably not. Objectively, there is a number somewhere where we realize that money is the tool and the resource that we use to take care of the people, the things, and the places that matter around us. So we will trade our time for money, but it's not until we start respecting the value of that time that we start treating it more intentionally. You guys tracking with me so far? So for me, the real question is like, where do you spend your time? Why? And is it getting you the life that you want? Because for me, there's like 4 areas of life that are really important. Sleep is number 1, because I grew up in the streets doing all sorts of bad things, and I've been on benders for 3-4 days at a time, and it's not a good look. And there's a lot of ladies on this call right now, so something tells me all of you need your beauty rest every night, that you don't want to stay up too late. You got to rest. You got to look good and rejuvenated, right? This is how life is. As we get older, as time progresses, we can't adapt as fast, so we need more rest. Then we have our families, the relationships, the people in our life that matter. Then we have business, because, I don't have FU money yet. If I did, I wouldn't have to do calls like these. I would because I love them, but I wouldn't have to. And then we have ourselves at the bottom of the list, which is why people get burnout, unhappy, dissatisfied in their business and their marriages and their lives in general, because if you've ever been on a plane, they'll always tell you, put your own oxygen mask on first, or you're a burden to everyone else around you. Which is funny because a lot of the entrepreneurs that we meet always talk about how they're living for this legacy and they're doing all this as this best version of themselves for the people around them, but they're at the bottom of the list of important things. There's a disconnect there. It's not congruent. That's why they don't always seem authentic when they say that. The people who are putting themselves first so that everyone else below them and around them is more successful, you can see that from the jump. That's an energy that stands out. So the question really is, in your life, what are the areas that matter? Because if we all know there's 24 hours in a day, to me, I look at it, 24 divided by 4 means that I can live by the 4 sixes. 6 hours for sleep, 6 hours for me, 6 hours for my family, and then 6 hours for my business. And what I do is I stack my day up to make sure that it's organized and efficient. And here's how you can do this for yourselves over the next week. Put a calendar reminder in your phone. And every hour on the hour, make a note for yourself to write down what you did for the last hour. And then make a note, was it productive? Yes or no? And be very honest with yourself. Hey, the alarm went off at 4 a.m. I woke up, drank a big glass of water. I read, I meditated, put my gym clothes on, and I was out the door by 4:30 to be at the gym at 4:45. On the way to the gym, I listened to the Icons of Real Estate podcast because I was super hyped that Drewbie was on there and I knew I was about to learn some stuff. Then I went to the gym and I spent 60 minutes doing the Murph. Then when I got done with that, I did a 15-minute chair massage, drove home, like literally dial in to the minute what you did during that time. Because I can tell you when I got home from the gym, all that sounded super productive, but then I didn't get right in the shower. I got distracted. I started doing some stuff on my computer. I started, helping my wife with some things and like got out of my routine a little bit. But if you're not intentional about watching what you're doing, you're not going to actually know where your time is going. And here's what's going to happen is all of you who take me seriously on this, in the next 3 days, you're going to be messaging Karen like, hey, what's Drewbie's number? I want to call that guy. He's a jerk. Because I realize how much time I'm wasting on things that don't actually get me the result or the life that I want. And I want to tell him something. And I hope that's it. What you want to tell me is how much you appreciate me opening your eyes to the fact that we're all wasting times on things that don't matter. And I say that because I know I'm just as guilty of it. But when I think about it and I'm more intentional, I can start figuring out where does my time go and how can I make sure I'm investing it into places that I know I want a better return on investment from. So you start stacking it up. You start paying attention. Where is it going? What am I doing? Is it productive? Yes or no? And this is what my calendar typically looks like. I stack it up. It looks like Legos. It's color coded. I know exactly what I'm going to do from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed. And what's really freeing about this, you guys, because a lot of people are like, well, calendar doesn't sound like freedom. That sounds like you're locked in always. If it's on the calendar, it's for me. So when I want time, I put it on the calendar. If I want to go out and go camping, if I want to go fishing, if I want to go bowling, if I want to ride a horse, if I want to just take a dang nap, I can put it on the calendar and I can do that because it's my time and I control it how I want. So the biggest question for y'all is, what if your day was built for success? Like, what if you literally woke up every day and before you even started, you knew you had a blueprint and your day was lined out to get you the result that you were looking for? That you're going to invest your time in the areas that are designed to maximize that result. That when someone comes to you with some quick minute problem, that's never a quick minute, y'all. Let's be honest. You're going to have a way to go back to them and say, hey, listen, I respect that. And also, I have to prioritize this right now. Can you come back at 3:30 this afternoon, which is the only open slot on my calendar? I promise you 9 out of 10 times those same individuals that have an immediate burning fire problem, by 3:30, it's not an immediate burning fire problem anymore. And the ones that actually were, you're going to have recognized it long before you ever had to second guess it. But in your heart of heart, you know there are things you're doing right now on a daily basis that aren't getting you the life that you want. For some of you, it's you're not calling the damn leads. For some of you, it's not waking up earlier and doing the workout that you know would make you feel more confident so that when you got to work, you'd be okay calling the damn leads. For some of you, you're not doing the things after work, like spending time with your family or being there in the moment to embrace that regeneration and that recovery, which is why when you're at the office, you're thinking about all the stuff going on at home. But then as soon as you get home, you're thinking about all the stuff that's going on at the office because you're not intentional about your time and it's creating a disconnect. So I really encourage all of you today to think about where's your time going? What is it worth? And could you be getting a better return on that investment if you were being more intentional with it and using just like a little bit of it to call those damn leads? And that's my presentation. Hopefully we still got plenty of time. I think I nailed it, Karen. I went pretty quick, but I think we got through it.
Awesome. Thank you, Drewbie. And I mean, I know, I don't know about any of you guys, look, I have to admit, I know I could be doing things better. And we're all told that the fortune is in the follow-up. And we all, who doesn't know that? This is nothing new, is it? It's nothing new, but are we doing it? And like I just said right at the beginning, I've even got your book and I do use it and I've got complacent. You get hooked up with everything that is booked in because I've got busy, and then I've got complacent. And so if I am being honest, I have had times in my schedule, even though things have got busy, where I could have been calling the damn lead, and I haven't. And I would hope that it's not just me that does that, that we can all get complacent. And so having that accountability and going back to it, I think is massive. So does anybody have any questions regarding, I know Drewbie, great presentation, and I know he whizzed through it. But does anybody have any questions relating to this? Go, Ken.
You don't have to be shy. You can just tell me you hated it if you didn't like it. That's fine too. I won't take offense.
No, it totally resonated. I am winning my morning, but I'm struggling to win my work morning. So the time blocking, just trying to figure out my task on hand and stay on task, because I can do the whole squirrel thing of, oh, let me go do this, So it was good to kind of see your calendar. And then also just the slide where evaluating where your time is going. I probably need to do that.
Yeah, one of the things that I've done and coached a lot of clients on is as you go through that time audit and you kind of look at like, all right, well, here's the bucket. Here's all the things that I did, and I'm going to put this as a personal thing. This is a professional thing. This is like for my relationships. This is sleep or recovery. What you start to look at then is like, okay, well, what's the dollar amount for these? Is this a task that I could be paying someone 10, 15, $20 an hour for? Because if so, then by me doing it, knowing that my time is worth $50 to $100 an hour, it means I'm literally stealing from myself, my family, and my business. And it's like a hard conversation to have, but as you start looking at it and being very transparent with yourself, you go, oh, well, maybe I need to hire that assistant, or maybe I need whatever that person or place may be.
Yeah, it's good.
Any other questions, Pete? I know there's not so many on today. I know we'll be sending out the recording. But does anybody have anything to ask? Please unmute yourselves.
Someone did ask if it was going to be recorded. So yes, there is a recording.
Yes.
They'll definitely be sending that out. And Karen, I hope you send it to me, because I always like to keep these clips, because I always, like, I know I talk fast and I get excited and passionate, but it's because I really care about this stuff. This is what I know makes the biggest difference in people's lives.
Well, I know too that when I'm doing it, I get the results. And that's why I say it's just so easy to be complacent. But the way you have it all out, and then I can look down at the end, because I'm sure everybody that's here, they work for themselves. So you don't have that accountability that you do have, working an actual job, right? You're all independent realtors or brokers. So the buck stops at you. And so having something to almost be accountable to, so that if you're filling it out honestly, and then you look down at the day and you go, maybe I could have done better. Jeannie, did you have a question?
Yeah. Drew, it was very helpful, because I'm at that point trying to decide if I need to hire a virtual assistant. And sitting there when you said, what did you make? What are you worth an hour? Really got me thinking, okay, you're right. There are certain tasks now that I can say to someone, I need you to do it, so that I can get the other things done that only I could do at this point. So that really helped me. So thank you.
You're welcome. It's one of the conversations too, where like my partner and I, we had this conversation, because there's administrative tasks that have to be done every day. 2-3 hours worth, paperwork and little stuff, social media, all these little admin tasks, 2 to 3 hours worth. And it's not logistical to hire a full-time administrator in-house, because they're going to want 50 or 60 grand a year in benefits and all that. And that means that you're like 75 after taxes and all the things that go along with that. And then they're not really salespeople. And if you're to hire a full-time salesperson, they want 6 figures. Like, let's be honest, no one gets into sales unless they can make 6 figures. So you're not going to be able to hire a salesperson that's not making that. And most of us want to make it before we pay it to somebody else. So a virtual assistant is a great option if they are trained in doing a couple of hours of admin work and then a couple of hours in sales and follow-up. Because that's the not so sexy stuff that people aren't investing the time in, because it's not fun. It's very tedious. And also, it has to be done. The math is the math. 100 calls a day. If it's 3 minutes per call to open the CRM, let the lead load, smile and dial for 60 seconds, even if you don't leave a voicemail, then you hang up, you disposition, you make your notes that you called, and you move to the next lead and it loads. 2 to 3 minutes per call. 100 calls a day, that's 300 minutes. That's 5 hours of just dial time. Like, the math is the math is the math. We have to decide, where are we going to spend our time, and if that time is going to get us the maximum return on that investment. Plain and simple. So, Jeannie, I think you know what to do next.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
The comments there was from Josh. How do you get other team members to call the damn leads?
Well, first I buy them some swag from the store and I put it on their desk, a keychain, a wristband, a t-shirt, something. But again, for me, it really comes back to success as a perspective. Some people are driven by money. Some people are driven by time freedom. Some people want an attaboy. If you've ever read The 5 Love Languages, it's not only great for relationships, it's really great in business too, because everyone's love language is different. So what they respond to is different. And so when it comes to team members, if you can figure out what their love language is, that's a great start. Because sometimes they just need an attaboy or like a fist bump, and that just gets them fired up and they'll go do the thing. Aside from that, it really comes back to them. What is your goal? What is your purpose? Like, what do you want in life? Because like, if I'm a leader, and it sounds like, Josh, you're probably someone who's either the leader of the team or someone who's leading the team with your own mindset and ownership mentality. It's really just trying to understand, like, what do you guys want to do? Because whatever you're trying to do, it requires money. Plain and simple. We all need to make money so that we can go do the things that we want to do in life. Because the more money you have, the less problems you have. There's more money, more problems. But when you got more money, it's a lot easier to deal with those problems. So the question comes back to them. Hey, what are you guys trying to accomplish? What are your goals in life? And then again, reverse engineer, what's the time worth? Because if I can help you become more skilled, then that means that you don't have to work twice as much time to make the same amount of money. Disc profile on the team. Yeah, disc profile is really great. I mean, I'm not one who's like fully psychologically trained in that side of things, but again, I try to just look at who's the person. What drives them? What motivates them? A disc profile is awesome. You can have them do all the different personality things. Like, there's so many, but the point is just getting to know the person at a genuine level so that we can find what drives them and then find a way to reframe it to, hey, if you just call the damn leads, turns out you might be able to get that thing you want. Crazy idea.
I suppose gamification almost, I suppose, if you've got a team with regards to what.
That's why the
Yeah.
110-2 rule, it's gamification, right? If we just hit the numbers, the things will happen.
And have it almost like, because I know I found, which is one of the reasons why I joined the team at Icons of Real Estate, because when you're just working for yourself, for some reason, when you are on the team, it might be different personality types. I don't know, because I'm just me. But having a little bit of competitiveness, and there will be that, you know, you want to do more because you have got that accountability. And if it's being like monitored, if you like, as to how many calls you made, you know, what responses you've got, and it is ongoing, I think that almost the camaraderie of the team is going to help encourage each other to do more, to get more. I know that it's definitely helped me. That's why I enjoy being on a team. That's part of it. So maybe that could be that, Josh, combining it, you know, every one of them needs.
Absolutely.
Anybody else have any question? You're good.
Let's just assume they're calling the damn leads. Maybe, hopefully, after hearing that presentation, let's just assume that they're all like, I got to go call these damn leads. Drewbie, that was awesome. Got to go. See you later. Thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll, like I said, they'll call me in a couple days when they do the time audit and they'll be like, this guy.
And yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be, you know, there's no way I'm making 100 calls a day, but you know, I'm not, Drewbie, I'll be honest. I'm not calling, but I am including emails, text messages, DMs. And actually, when you do incorporate all those, it's amazing, you know, do I always hit that goal? if I went back, I'm not going to lie, I haven't hit that goal every single day, Drewbie. But it's something to gauge yourself, and then you're only in competition with yourself, right? You're competing against yourself. And then when the results come in, again, that's proof of the pudding, which encourages you to do more and being accountable to you. Because I suppose, is that, I don't know, does anybody else feel like that when you don't have anybody to be accountable to, that the hours can pass, the days can pass?
You're 100% on point. And that's why I think it's so important for everyone to figure out what is their version of success. Like, it's always my version is going to be different than your version. And if you went back to when we were born and you were talking to our parents in the room, like, hey, what's going to be your kid's life when they're successful? What they would tell you in that moment is wildly different than where we all are right now in our lives. And so once you figured out kind of where you're trying to go, then it's just reverse engineer it and trust the process. And what's great is, folks like Karen and the Icons team, they've put together these resources as a place that you can go and learn in compressed time, because they've all made the mistakes. People are willing to share what they've done that did not work for them so that you don't make the same mistake they did. The secret is, when you hear it, to be very intentional about remembering it when you get to that moment and saying, okay, I know what I know now, so I'm going to make a different decision, because you don't know what you don't know until you know. And then you have a decision to make with it. So I hope that now all of you know what your time is worth, and the decision you make is to go be very intentional and live the life you can with it. God bless you.
And yeah, you're all on numbers, aren't you? You're all dealing with numbers. You're all working out commissions, even though all your business is based on, I suppose, well, even with your podcast to promote your business, you're dealing with, you're creating content, and it's all about building relationships and selling and buying homes. If it's, residential as opposed to commercial, it is all around emotional stuff. And this is just, I suppose, bringing it back to the bottom line is the stats don't lie. The stats don't lie. Your whole business is driven, I suppose, by numbers, even though the fact that it is about building relationships, and there are obviously emotions around that, but it still doesn't take away from, at the end of the day,
Got to do the marketing.
productive have you been, really? And it is quite humbling. I found it really quite humbling, because it is like, have I done enough? Have I done enough? So guys, any more questions before we part? Have you enjoyed this? Kendra, thank you. Yeah, great session. I know it would be great. Yeah, I've had him on my show. We'll have to get you on, actually, an Icons of Real Estate, because he was actually on my podcast, but it was. So if guys, please reach out to him if you want him on your podcast.
By all means, happy to be a guest. Just reach out anytime.
Yeah, awesome. If there's nothing less, I don't know if there's anything you want to say, Bruno, but great session, Drewbie. Thank you for that.
No, everything, just great session, Drewbie. Thank you so much for taking the time to enlighten us a little bit more about calling the damn leads.
You got it.
Drewbie, please put your link in if anybody wants to go and get what I loved about this, when I ordered it, I was expecting my normal size book that I thought I was going to be reading. And when the package came, I was like, oh my goodness. But I don't know about you guys, although we live online and I'm using an online calendar, there's something really cool about writing it down, about gamification. We do know that something goes on in your head. You release endorphins when you tick. There's something about ticking it off and completing, not having 4 missing, at the end. It's like, have you completed that whole line of things that you said? Because these are all things that you make a decision to do for you and your business, but something happens when you actually complete each thing. And from there on in, the proof is in the pudding. I'll admit, the results improve when you actually do what you said you were going to do. Funny that.
And God bless you for being honest and vulnerable, Karen, because that's what really makes a difference. And when we're honest with ourselves, we can really get to the result we're looking for.
It's always us in our own way, isn't it? So let's get out of the way and just call the damn leads. I love it. I love your slogan. I think it's hilarious.
Amen, sister.
And it's as simple as that, isn't it? It really is as simple as that. Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, dear. We'll see you guys next time. Go crush the day. Call those damn leads. Later.